We're all rocking the ribbon today because it's World AIDS Day. World AIDS Day is a global movement to unite people in the fight against HIV and AIDS. And our next guest is making a difference in his community and beyond. Take a look.
My name is Ian Haddock, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Normal Anomaly Initiative. I am from a small town in Texas where there is not a lot of Black LGBT representation. At 16, my mother gave me an ultimatum, either to be gay or stay in the house. The only thing I was sure of was that I was a queer man. As I began to couch surf, I met my chosen father. Through him, I learned about all of the disparities that happen when you're a queer person of color. The Normal Anomaly's mission is to center Black queer persons to overcome stigma and problematic narratives. We serve the Southern population through HIV self-screenings, advocacy, and so much more. We have directly impacted 3,000 people. The reality is 1 in 2 Black gay men have the chance to contract HIV within their lifetime. I speak for the people who are living with HIV in silence, the people who are afraid to get tested. I speak for Black gay men. I speak for Black trans women and men who are often overlooked. I speak for us. As a formerly homeless kid, I could not have imagined living the life that I live. This World AIDS Day, we need to think about the fact that we all have a status, whether negative or positive. I'm so grateful to Jennifer Hudson as we commemorate the lives lost and the people that are still in this fight to end this epidemic.
From Houston, Texas, please welcome the incredible Ian Haddock. Can you tell me why you are so passionate about the work you're doing?
You know, I feel like as a Black gay man that was homeless, like I either had a choice to be an activist or to die, right? Because at some point, I didn't have anything else to live for. And so my activism, my community, the people that look and love like me, the people that are dealing with disparities, those people gave me hope. And so this is my gift to them and my gift to my 15-year-old self.
Wow. You're so passionate about it. I have chills. It's like you're calling in a way.
Yeah.
Now, how long were you unhoused?
So I was unhoused from about when I was 16 to 24, 25 till I got my first job working in HIV, actually. But I was unhoused, and it was so interesting because what I realized is that sometimes breaking the generational curse is not through your bloodline. Sometimes it's through your community. And so I had a chosen father that took me in somewhere around 22, 23, and let me sleep on his couch. But I ended up he ended up bringing me back to my mother, bringing me back to connecting with my mother. He thought that was really important.
Right.
And she looked at him as a good moral figure. And so that ended up really making me and my mother, before she passed away, it made us really reconnect and become friends.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. Now, you've impacted over 3,000 people in just 1 year.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways you support HIV prevention and awareness?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I would not be here if it was not just for the community, but my team at the Normal Anomaly Initiative. I gotta shout out them people right here. But yeah, we have done a lot. We've helped with over 500 transportation rides to doctor's appointments and employment. We have given over 1,000 HIV self-screening tests. We have helped to launch 48 Black and or LGBT businesses in the Houston Metroplex. And we are so grateful. We're working with HIV Prevention Trials Network, their study called Building Equity Through Advocacy, and they are allowing us to take our homegrown intervention, Project Liberate, to 5 new cities. So in a year, we are expanding to 5 cities in the South.
When you started this, I have to ask, did you ever think it would be this impactful and go so far?
I'm on the EGOT and the GOATs stage. Heck no, I never thought it would be
And
this
you have
big.
all of our support.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, but I always knew I always knew that if you did the work,
Right.
the things would happen. I tell my team all the time, I am clear that the money will come if we do the work, that the influence will come if we do the work, the love will come if we do the work, the joy will come if we do the work, and we do the work.
You do the work.
Yeah.
The work that you're doing in the community is proof that working together is key to addressing the epidemic of HIV.
Absolutely.
You know, and again, you exude the energy and the passion, and it seems like a calling that you have.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what it takes to make a difference. Do you realize the impact that you're making and the influence that you're having on others? Because it matters and is making a huge difference. And I can't help but to say that because I'm sitting right next to you and I can feel it.
Wow. I mean, this is incredible. Like, I also feel like something that I appreciate about you is that through your darkest moments, you still were a light. You still showed up with joy.
Thank you.
You gave us entertainment and showed us love. And I lead with that also.
Wow.
I lead with joy. I lead with compassion. I have hope. I believe that one of the main ways we can get out of this epidemic is if we have hope and faith in each other. Like, it's going to take everybody.
Yes.
Everybody has a status.
Yes. Yes. Now, you've worked with the Gilead COMPASS Initiative before. How has the initiative supported the work you're doing?
Yeah, I want to be clear that I never wanted to run a nonprofit, and I arguably want to be an activist. But there was an opportunity through the COMPASS Initiative to apply for a grant and to build organizational infrastructure and leadership development. And that was the first grant that I got. And so the fact that we got that grant like 5 years ago in a fiscal sponsorship, and now we're in a place where we're moving to 5 different cities is absolutely incredible.
5 different cities. That is very incredible. And we're back with Ian. Also joining us is Daphina Ward, Executive Director of Southern AIDS Coalition. Okay, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It is amazing what you do. Daphina, you've been fighting against HIV and health equity issues for 15 years. What is the Southern AIDS Coalition? And why are you so passionate about your work?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, can I just say thank you for having us, for elevating this conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is the first step towards making a difference,
That's right.
is talking about
That's what we
it.
wanna do.
So thank you.
That's
Thank
what we
you
wanna
so
do.
much. I've been fighting for the people in the South and for our communities for 15 years. I'm an attorney. I say a recovering attorney. I'm an attorney by training. Who is
never heard it like that.
passionate about my people. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
it is just such an honor to do this work. And I have the honor of leading Southern AIDS Coalition. We were founded over 20 years ago because when the epidemic started 40 plus years ago, everyone was so focused on big cities. And there was this assumption that only HIV and AIDS were only affecting the coast. You didn't think about,
Right.
or you didn't hear about HIV in southern communities and rural communities, in small communities. And so there were a group of advocates, community-based folks who were doing work in the South, public health leaders at the state level in various southern states who got together and they created a list of demands and said the South has something to say. Folks in our communities in the South that are living with HIV, they need support and resources and infrastructure that the federal government at that time wasn't providing. So we started a fight, and that's where Southern AIDS Coalition came from. Southern AIDS Coalition was created to make sure that the demands and the needs of the people in the South were met. And we continue that legacy today through community-centered advocacy and policy work, grant making with organizations like Ian's, leadership development, and just coalition building. We're a members-driven organization, and we really rely on our partnership with folks all over the South who are coming from a range of experiences.
That is so important, and they got the right one to do it, I can tell. Because HIV is a global issue. Why do we need to address the HIV epidemic in the South?
Yeah, it is a global issue, and that's why World AIDS Day is so important. It's the 35th commemoration of World AIDS Day, and the focus this year is around communities leading the way, remembering and committing. And so we have to do that, particularly in the South. You know, Southerners make up about 38% of the country's population, but over 50% of new HIV diagnoses. And when you look at the rate of HIV or AIDS-related deaths in this country, The majority of those are happening in southern states. And so I tell people, we have to ask questions about structurally, why is this happening? You have to look at the history of what we've seen systemically in the South. Because where you see more HIV transmissions, where you're seeing people not having access to all the prevention resources that they need, you're also likely to be in southern states where there's not comprehensive sexual health education, where you have criminalization of people living with HIV, getting charged with felonies because of their status. There is so much work to do. So we know we have to address the holistic needs of our region, and that's why the South in this conversation is so important, and we can't do it by ourselves. It needs to be a national conversation because we don't end the national HIV epidemic without ending the HIV epidemic in the South.
You said it. My God. Ian, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, I just wanted to offer up that HIV is a social and racial justice issue, and oftentimes we look at HIV from only a public health standpoint, and it's really easy to stigmatize people living with HIV because of their identity or their orientation or their race, but really it is the same structure that creates all of the other things like poverty and homelessness and unemployment that creates higher transmissions of HIV.
Absolutely.
Now, Davina, can you explain how stigma plays a role in ending the HIV epidemic?
Yeah, I think Ian said is really important when we're talking about stigma, because you're currently looking at a lot of states and communities where you're seeing folks being criminalized because of who they are. Transgender children being attacked, their families being attacked through policies and through laws, and we've got to change that. So stigma begins before an HIV diagnosis. We create stigma in our communities through misinformation, and we share this misinformation about folks based on their identity or race or gender, and then also the fact that we don't even invest, that you don't see an investment in correcting that misinformation, and that's so critically important. But it's not something that happens overnight. It is a commitment that individuals have to make towards learning facts, not reinforcing stereotypes, and not reinforcing anything that's going to dehumanize a person. You know, for me personally, I had a dear friend who had an HIV diagnosis, and she only shared it with me because she saw some things I posted on Facebook. I hadn't talked to her in 15 years. She inboxed me and said, I have HIV. I haven't told anybody. So I became her person. She was dealing with isolation as a result of a diagnosis that she didn't think she could share with her church or with folks she worked with or her other friends. But because she saw me standing out talking about the fact that, like, I support folks who are living with HIV. You don't know what your voice and what you're putting into the world can mean to someone else. But sadly, we lost her as a result of cervical cancer years after her HIV diagnosis. And when she was diagnosed with cancer, she told me, I won't go to cancer support groups because what if they find out I have HIV? And that's how stigmatized and isolated she felt. And that's why we have to change these narratives in how we talk about HIV and how we talk about health. No one should be made to feel ashamed about their health status, no matter what that is. You know, so.
What is the, what you say, you know, working so closely with people who are diagnosed with HIV, is their biggest fear of not wanting to share it, do they say?
Well, for a number of folks, I know, and I'm sure Ian has something to add to this, but for a number of folks, it's sharing with people closest to them. You know, and I won't speak on behalf of all the people, but I know that's something I've heard repeatedly. Sadly, when we have seen situations where I've talked to families of folks who have died from AIDS-related illnesses, and they'll say, this is the first time we've said that he had AIDS. We always told people that he'd had cancer, or that he had pneumonia, or that he was just sick. So you see how, like, even someone's legacy, it's nothing to be ashamed of, but you see how that's perpetuated, the way that stigma shows up. But mostly people are afraid of just being turned away, of being judged, and what we also see is a lack of access to all the resources that people need, that we have to make them more readily available, and then we have to create systems and spaces where folks can feel supported, like what Normal Anomaly has created and so many others in the South, to make sure that people know they'll be supported no matter what their status might be.
Why is the HIV epidemic something everyone should care about?
Yeah, I would offer that everybody has a status, Everybody absolutely has an HIV status, and the only way to find that out is to get tested, right? And I think that, again, going back to this racial and social justice situation, HIV is the symptom and the disease is all of the other things, like poverty and homelessness, right? And so when we reimagine it being like something that we're readily dealing with, like things like unemployment and policing and so on and so forth, I think we can look at it from a different vantage point, but also just realizing that there has been a lot of work done. Scientifically, there's been a lot of work from the community. There's been a lot of work from the advocacy side, and we're in a different place. We're in a really different place with HIV. You can live a long life living with HIV. You can have a relationship with a person that's not living with HIV if you are living with HIV. Like, there's a lot of newness and a lot of joy and a lot of bravery and a lot of courage that we've seen over the last 40 years. And we have to be in our happy place.
That's right.
We got to be in our happy place.
I love that. Yes, because it's in a different place. It's not the same as it used to be, and I don't think people are aware of that. So I love that you're making everyone aware of that.
I think that is critically important. We have to come from a place of joy and what we have as assets. Because so often we talk about where we're lacking and what's so bad. And there is a lot of work that needs to continue to happen, but we want individuals to see their power in making a difference.
Right.
So if you're concerned about being an HIV advocate, then you should also be an advocate for social justice. You should be an advocate that everyone has access to health insurance, that everyone has access to medication. So it's a much broader conversation. HIV is just along a line of things that have to be addressed. And people ask me, you all have this mission. You want to end the HIV epidemic in the South. And I say, I know if we've done that, we've ended a lot of problems. If we've ended the HIV epidemic in this country, then we have dealt with racism, then we've dealt with a lot of phobias, we've dealt with a lot of issues, because those are the underlying issues that we see and the underlying reasons that we're seeing the rates we're seeing in certain communities. But there is a community of folks who are over the age of 50, who've been living with HIV for 20 plus years, who are thriving and leading in this work. There are 3 generations of leaders in this work right now. That's how long HIV has been in our communities. But there is power in that. And what can we learn? We've come so far, and we have a long way to go. So we need advocates. We need everybody in this movement with us.
Yes. All right. Tell us about the work the Southern AIDS Coalition is doing through the Gilead COMPASS Initiative.
Yes, so Southern AIDS Coalition is one of the 4 coordinating centers for the Gilead COMPASS Initiative. And that initiative is Gilead Science's commitment to addressing HIV in the Southern United States. And it really has allowed organizations like ours to build our capacity so that we can support organizations like Ian's and dozens of others. Through COMPASS, there have been millions of dollars awarded to community-based organizations, many of them emerging organizations, most of them led by folks who look like the communities that are most impacted. So you're seeing leadership coming out of Black trans communities and Latinx communities and folks in rural communities who are closest to the needs of their communities. So COMPASS has really allowed us to transform the way that grant making is happening in the South, with the hope of making a meaningful step towards ending the epidemic in the region.
I love how you're educating us all on this and the difference that you're making, and your passion is so beautiful. And your movement is very powerful.
Well, thank you so much. I couldn't do this without the Southern AIDS Coalition team and all of our partners across the South. And I just have to let y'all know there's lots of Ians in the South.
Okay.
There's lots of folks
we want to
doing
see all the
amazing work.
Ians.
So
yes.
We just need to support all the Ians, because we are blessed to have leaders who have vision and innovation and just need the resources to get it done. So we got to make sure we make that happen.
All right. Yes, we do. Well, Ian, what you do is so incredible, and your organization could always use more funding.
Yeah.
So Gilead Sciences wants to continue to support the amazing work you're doing at your organization by giving a $10,000 donation to you so you can continue your amazing work and keep advocating for the people living with HIV. You are amazing. Keep up the awesome work. It really is beautiful.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this because they gave us our start, and this is a huge platform. It is about resources, but I want to thank them and thank you
Yes.
Because it is incredible for a black woman.
Yes, ma'am.
Black women always lead us. It is incredible for a black woman to care about people that look and love like me in a space like Texas.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are loved.
Thank you.
Okay? Just know that. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to the Jennifer Hudson Show YouTube channel. Check your local listings or visit jenniferhudsonshow.com to see when you can watch full episodes in your area. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.